Going to the Triennale Design Museum is an absolute fixture for me on any visit to Milan. Sometimes I go as many as 3 separate times in one given trip. Since the museum's new concept was launched in 2008, one person curates the major exhibit which is shown throughout a large part of the year. Elsewhere in the building, 3 or 4 other shorter-term exhibits are also on display at any given time. Make sure to check out triennale.org for further details when you're planning your next trip to Milan. During my last visit, the 6th edition was being shown, The Syndrome of Influence, curated by Pierluigi Nicolin. Like the previous editions I had seen, it was overwhelming. I always leave the building reeling from so much creativity, both by the works of the featured designers and by the curators of the individual exhibit. As indicated in the subtitle on the poster, one of Italian design's specific attributes is the capacity of assimilation, as well as curiosity and the desire of engaging with other idioms and cultures to launch new projects and elaborations. Separate spaces were devoted to one Italian design legend after another, focusing not just on their work, but on their sources of inspiration. Obviously, my inclusions here are minuscule fragments, as well as some quotations, a few of which I'll translate. Listen to me. A beautiful drawing, translated into the concreteness of an object, counts for nothing. Only the ideas count. Vico Magistretti. Just the last 2 lines of this quote. We wanted to be able to say, one can't reduce to less than this. Achille Castiglioni. I want to see, and therefore I draw. I can't see things unless I draw them. Carlo Scarpa. Here, my arbitrary selection of armchairs in an area with simultaneously audible interviews with 12 designers. The red armchair is the UP5 by Gaetano Pesce. I'll leave uncommented these impressions from the space dedicated to Ettore Sottsass. One of the most arresting displays was this construction in the alcove devoted to Bruno Munari. All this creativity called for a lunch break. After a strengthening lunch over at Grand Italia of risotto with radicchio and scamorza and my inevitable insalata mista, I walked back through the Parco Sempione to the Design Museum, where I spent another couple of hours visiting the rest of the main exhibit. Afterwards, I had a refreshment in the Triennale Design Café, where I enjoyed the view of the garden, with its sculptures and installations, including Giorgio De Chirico's Bagni Misteriosi. Inside the Design Café itself, no 2 chairs are identical, by the way. I was also fascinated by the asymmetrical water glass, as you can see. The waiter couldn't tell me who had designed it, so I'll have to investigate further on a future visit. It was to be expected that any objects in the café would be suited to the venue. In addition to the main exhibit, The Syndrome of Influence, models from the Marvel as Exercise, assembled by students at the Architectural Academy of Italian-speaking Switzerland, were arranged on the main staircase and elsewhere in the building. The exhibit devoted to Gae Aulenti had just closed a few days before, so I decided it was time to return to my hotel for a nap before dinner.